Good morning, Nigeria, and happy Sunday. Now, there is a show on Netflix that Nigeria needs to watch, not for entertainment, but for a mirror. The Polygamist. I promise you I would not give away the end. Now, it tells the story of Jonasi, a man so skilled at performance that every woman in his life believed she was the only one. He was attentive when it mattered, generous at the right moment, full of promises that sounded like vows. And while each woman built her version of the perfect life he offered, he was quietly, systematically making those same promises to someone else. Now, yesterday after watching it, one question refused to leave my mind. How many relationships, how many nations collapsed not because people stopped believing, but because promises became heavier than the people making them? Sounds familiar? Because we've been Joyce, all of us, for years. What struck me about Jonasi wasn't that he had two wives. It was his belief that tomorrow would fix what today couldn't. We've had a similar message from our leaders for years. Reforms take time. The pain is temporary. The future would justify today's sacrifices. Every government eventually learns the same lesson. People can endure extraordinary hardship if they believe their turn is coming. So they wait. And yes, they wait. Communities waited for security. Young people waited for jobs. Families waited for the economy to breathe again and for their children to come back home, each carrying a different promise, each waiting for a different tomorrow. And while everyone waited, the performance continued. Then I thought about Joyce. She wasn't asking for perfection. She was asking for consistency, for someone to simply do what they said they would do. And many of us wanted to believe not out of naivety, but out of exhaustion. Because hope, even borrowed hope, is easier to carry than the weight of knowing you've been lied to again and again. We were Joyce, not foolish, just human. And while tomorrow is being planned, mothers are standing in markets today quietly putting food back on the shelves because prices have gone beyond what their wallets can carry. Transport fares are still stretching incomes. Families are still making impossible choices. It reminded me of the delayed refuse collection making headlines across Lagos this week. Residents paying taxes, businesses trying to keep their surroundings clean, families waking up to overflowing waste bin. It has become another pillar. Sometimes citizens aren't demanding extraordinary things. They are asking for ordinary systems to work. Because trust doesn't disappear overnight. It erodes, one missed responsibility at a time. And then there's Matipa, perhaps the character who stayed with me the longest, because she understood something many people only realize after tragedy arrives. Conflict never ends where the headlines stop. Now, this week, another wave of violence in Plateau State forced families to mourn loved ones who simply wanted to live their lives. We've become frighteningly good at counting the dead. 20, 30, 72, name it. But we rarely count the birthdays that would never be celebrated, the harvest that would never happen, the classrooms left empty, the children who now believe running is part of growing up. Matipa's grief was not loud. It was the kind that settles into the walls of a home, and it stays. That is the grief of Plateau, of Benue, of every community that has learned to bury its people and still wake up the next morning. Now, those losses rarely make the statistics. The moment that breaks Joyce in that film is not when she discovers the other woman. It is when she realizes that she knew. Deep down, she knew. She chose the performance over truth because the truth was too expensive to hold. Nigeria. I wonder if we are at the same moment, not the moment of discovery. We've been discovering for decades, trust me, but perhaps the moment of reckoning. Because homes don't collapse in one day, they crack. One broken promise, one neglected responsibility, one ignored conversation at a time. Nations aren't very different, but here is the hopeful part as always. If trust can be broken once, if trust can be broken one decision at a time, it can also be rebuilt one decision at a time, one honest conversation, one fulfilled promise, one protected community, one institution that works, and one leader choosing results over reassurance. Because unlike YCEE, we are not one woman in a beautiful house trying to make sense of one man's story. We are more than 200 million Nigerians sharing one country. We compare notes every day. We know when promises begin to sound familiar. The question is whether we are finally ready to hold those promises to account, or we choose to, roast corn and akara, and I'll leave that there. And it's been 45 days since the Oyo kidnapping, and we're still waiting. Nigeria, choose wisely. Now, this is Breakfast Extra. I hope I did not do a movie production this morning with Mazino. I am Queen Celestine. Good morning, Nigeria. Hello, Mazino. How are you?
Good morning. That's such a bitter-sweet monologue. You got all of that from Johannes' polygamous South African nature. Sorry, Jonasi, not Johannes.
We need to send you back to Breakfast Extra.
That was interesting, but...
Thank you.
I mean, the way you drew the line between that culture and what's happening in Nigeria... Stella.
Thank you.
Can't say anything better.
Thank you.
But come over. Let's talk about why on earth you're watching that movie.
I will tell you.
Because I will not. Come on over.
Okay.
Good morning, Nigeria, and welcome to Breakfast Extra. My name is Mazino Appeal. Now, today we begin our show with wellness. We'll be talking about vitiligo, a condition that affects millions yet remains widely misunderstood. We'll separate myth from fact. We'll discuss available treatment and examine how greater awareness can help break the stigma faced by people living with the condition. Now, in the second hour, as the world marks MSME Day, well, that was yesterday, we take a look at Nigeria's small businesses. With inflation rising, operation costs, and also limited access to finance, we ask what more can be done to help the businesses that remain the backbone of this nation's economy. And we'll also unpack the online debate sparked by the so-called Olodo Uprising comments. Beyond the social media exchanges, the conversation, well, it's raised bigger questions about education, success, and also talent, and how long Nigerians define relevance in today's digital age. In our first hour, we examine the legal and political implications of the Federal High Court's judgment on the National Democratic Coalition Party and the party's decision to challenge the ruling on the appeal, and also finally, we discussed the debate surrounding the proposed National Public Health Institution, following concerns raised by Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention over the creation of another disease agency. It's a full morning, full of conversation, plenty of analysis to be made, and also, well, let's take different perspectives. Stay with us here on Breakfast Extra. Now let's get to Queen and ask exactly how bored she was before she saw that. How bored were you?
So...
Why? So here's the thing. I've not seen it. I'm not really.
That's why
I don't go with the crowd. I'm a very purist type of person.
So it wasn't like a crowd thing. It was like, family members like, oh,
crowd.
There's been, there's been, rave. Let's just watch it. Of course, we did, and I don't think it was anything new. Something that we've seen in Nigeria everywhere. But I think they acted it so well. You're like,
okay.
Oh, I'm like, well, is it this?
It would be the first time South Africa's acted anything well.
Oh wow.
In any case, the correlations you drew between the Nigerian condition, and I thought that was very interesting, very sad, especially at the end there where you talked about the fact that it's 45 days since the Oyo kidnaps. I don't want to call it kidnaps since what can we call it now?
Adoption story, something.
It's everything inside of it.
It is.
And if you saw the social media viral video of the kidnappings happening on the Benin road, it's
well, before we go on a break, let me not make it too gloomy. I know there's a clip from a movie when they said if women start acting up, you just say, "Do you want some money?" This is still mental health day. So, Mazino, do you want some smoothie?
Do you have it here?
I do have.
I would love some.
Now
smoothie.
Let's go on a break.
This is how you take care of men. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes, and let's dive into our first big story. We're talking about vitiligo. And it's a skin condition that affects millions of people around the world, yet it remains widely misunderstood. While it is not contagious or life-threatening, many people living with the condition continue to face stigma, discrimination, and negative assumptions because of their appearance. Beyond the physical changes to the skin, experts say the emotional and psychological impact can be just as significant, making awareness and public education more important than ever.
So this morning, we're exploring what it really means to live with vitiligo, separating myth from facts and discussing how society can become more accepting and supportive of people with the condition. Joining us are Mayori Aderinsola, beauty consultant, creative director, and Darren's Beauty Global Resources, and a person living with vitiligo, and Dr. Folakemi Cole Adefa. I remember her. She's made a comeback here. She's consultant, physician, and dermatologist at Lagos State University Teaching Hospital. It's Adefa, by the way. I got that wrong. My apologies.
It's okay.
Thank you both for coming. Thank you very much. You are welcome.
Thanks for having us.
Yes,
I'm going to let you lead on this because, you know,
when you walked in, I'm like, can I have that? I love the way you look. Let me just say that first before,
Thanks.
you know,
So
we go into, you know, your hair is just, I wish people can just see the beauty in things that don't look, you know, normal to us. It doesn't have to be, but, you know, Mary, you just tell us, what is it like living with the vitiligo?
Okay, I keep saying it. I'm different.
Yes, you are.
I acknowledge the fact that I am different, and I live up to the fact that, yes, I am different from the norm. So it comes with its advantages and disadvantages, but then it is who I am.
Can you share with us what the disadvantages are?
Okay, when it comes to the disadvantages, you tend to, when you walk into an environment, people stare too much of staring. And personally, I used to be somebody that doesn't like too much eyes on me. I really do not really like people getting to notice me. But I have to manage it.
Just a second, Darren. We really want to hear what you're saying, so we're going to sort a technical issue. We're going to go on a very short break and come back so that we can enjoy this entire conversation. So do stay with us. We'll be right back. And yeah, the conversation continues then. Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us even after that technical break. And of course, we're still discussing vitiligo here today. And we have our guests in the studio. We have Darren. That's what we'll call her from now. And of course, we have Dr. Adefe in the studio. And we were talking, she was telling us about the disadvantages of living with vitiligo. However, doctor, let's get to understand, is it vitiligo or vitiligo?
It depends.
It depends.
Some people say vitiligo, some people say vitiligo.
Okay.
I prefer vitiligo, but
Vitiligo.
both are correct.
All right, great. Thank you. Let's
Thank you.
understand it. What exactly is it? I know it has to do with melanin, but I'm not the expert. You are, so tell us.
So vitiligo is an autoimmune skin condition in which the body's immune cells begin to attack the cells that produce color, called the melanocytes. So the melanocytes are what produce melanin. When you hear melanin popping, what kind of paints our skin, whatever color it is. And so for some reasons that are not fully understood, there are many theories about why this happens. But the immune cells of the body begin to attack the melanocytes and destroy them. And so they're not able to produce or pass melanin to the rest of the skin. So the areas in which the melanocytes have been attacked, so to speak, no longer produce melanin, and those areas are void of color.
So it's progressive.
Yes, it's a progressive. It's not inherited. It's not something from birth. It usually occurs maybe in childhood or early adulthood, and then gradually progresses. So over time, the immune system continues to literally hunt down the melanocytes, and then the destruction causes them to be unable to produce melanin and color the skin.
Just give me like a list of questions, more questions to ask Darren. A ton of them. No. But how different is it from the last time you were here? We talked about albinism. Yes. How different is it from albinism? Is it the same thing in some way?
No, absolutely not. They're totally different. Albinism is more of a genetic condition, and it's inherited from birth, and it affects the whole skin. So from birth, in albinism, the melanocytes are not attacked, but there is an enzyme that is meant to help produce melanin that is missing or is deficient. And so that enzyme helps to convert some of the chemicals in the body into melanin. And when that enzyme is not there, the conversion can't occur, so there's no melanin at all.
Okay.
But with vitiligo, there's melanin, and the melanocytes are happy, and then suddenly the police, the body go rogue and decide to shoot the people they are meant to protect.
Sounds like a Nigerian government.
Oh, no, I didn't say that. But that's typically what happens with vitiligo. There's several autoimmune conditions, and vitiligo is one of them that is directed towards the melanocyte.
Thank you. But for normal people, autoimmune means?
Self-destructing. So autoimmune means it's fighting itself. So the body is fighting itself. Things like lupus, for instance, is another autoimmune condition where the body is fighting itself. You have autoimmune thyroid problems. There are many alopecia areata, where the body attacks the hair cells. And so in vitiligo, the immune cells of the body are, kind of...
So basically, this attack is not necessarily a bad thing in terms of your health. It's just your skin.
No, it's just the skin. So in most cases of vitiligo, it does not go beyond the skin. There are a few very rare cases that it's associated with other syndromes that can affect general health. But in most cases, that is not the case. Perfectly healthy, except
And of course,
the
it's
skin
not
difference.
preventable, it's not curable, you just live with it.
We don't have it's treatable, but we don't have a cure. There's no cure yet for vitiligo, but there are several treatment options which work in to variable levels. So some people have been treated and have repigmented. Other people have been treated and have not responded, but there are treatment options. And then some people decide to completely take off the pigment, like the case of Michael Jackson. He had vitiligo. It was quite extensive. So the doctor will give you the option. Do you want to try to repigment? And if that's not working, you can depigment, take off all the skin colors so you're a uniform skin tone.
Oh, so
that's
he wasn't going after aesthetics. It was actually...
No. It was
Oh, we judged
vitiligo.
him bad then.
Yes, people didn't understand.
It really doesn't matter if you're black or white.
It doesn't matter.
Demi, let's come to you now. You've lived with it since birth, but I'm wondering exactly when did it really start?
Okay. Mine started when I lost my mom in 2019.
Do you mind how old were you then?
I was 23.
When it started?
Yes.
So it's only been 6 years?
7 years.
And before that, you were just perfectly
Before
like
that,
everybody else?
Yes. I was all black.
And then how
Look
did
at you now.
How did it start? And bigger question is, what was the emotional toll on you?
Oh, okay. So when it started, I didn't know it had started.
Where did it start from?
From my head. So I just I wanted to go bald. So I went to cut off my hair, only for me to see some tiny dots on my head here, just right here. So when I saw it, I didn't read meaning to it. I'm a very nonchalant person, so I didn't read meaning to it. I was living my life. So till one day, when I went to have my hair cut again, one lady was describing me to somebody, and what she said was, I don't know, you don't understand Yoruba.
No, go ahead.
So
Just
she
say it
said,
in Yoruba.
somebody, that lady that has lakpa.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes. I was in the university. Obviously, I did not have lakpa. But that was the best way she could describe me to somebody else. Although it was still small, it was not spreading. There was a time my vitiligo was coming and going. It would come, it would go. Then I was still very comfortable with it because it was only in my head. It would come to the front part of my head. It would go again. Till 2024, when it came, I'm saying it came with full force.
The war
And I'm telling you, it came everywhere. It came. I knew you were going to come. Welcome home. So I had to accept it, because one thing I noticed is accepting it makes it more beautiful. Yes, once you embrace it, then you start seeing the thing will itself align. And
How extensive is it?
it's everywhere. Yes.
Mazino, it's okay.
Hey, I ask questions. That's my job.
So basically, when you say you accepted it, did that also help your confidence and everything? So what are the advantages after accepting that, okay, you know what, this is who I am now?
Okay, so I said earlier, I'm a very nonchalant person and I am brave, like I'm bold. You cannot bring me down. That's me.
That's the spirit.
It's the kind of person I am only helped me embrace it the more. I knew I have to work, I have to eat. I am a fine girl. I have to live my life. So I did not allow it to bring me down. People, I'm telling you, people will stay, people will talk. I was going out someday, my other sister and I, to make matters worse, in my hometown, my dad lives in our village, so nobody has ever seen this. Nobody, ever. So I received calls. My dad received calls. Hey, what happened to your daughter? No. This one, that one. I'm like,
bring her. There's something we can do in the village.
I'm telling you, we have spent. My dad has spent almost $1 million trying to cure this, but it did not work. People would give you options. Try this, try that. It will not work. I'm telling you, the day my sister and I were going out, somebody was like, the moment I came down from the bus, the person shouted, "Jesus!" Like, God. My sister was the one telling the person, "Can you close your mouth?" Because I did not, I don't care if you like shout. I really did not send you. So that's just it. Then there are people that will walk up to you and tell you you look beautiful. That alone is a lot. And there are people that walk up to me and tell me, "Oh, you don't know what you've done for me." Oh. Yes, I get that a lot. Even yesterday, a lot of people walk up to me and tell you, "Oh, because you are talking about your skin, it has made me be able to review my skin." I have people that say they have it on their legs, and because they have it on their legs, they're always wearing trousers, long trousers. Because they have it on their arms, they're always covering. I'm like, what's wrong with you? Me that have it on my face, what do you want me to do? Move out, enjoy yourself.
Interesting. So, doctor, like, you know, she mentioned when someone is surprised. A lot of Nigerians or people will say they've never seen it before. How do we educate them to say, relax? It's not something you catch. It's not a disease. Yes. How do we tell them?
It's a challenge. I think generally as human beings, we're always scared or reserved or worried or afraid, I would say, of what is different. And, you know, the skin is something you can't hide. It's the only organ everybody sees, you know, the largest organ, but everyone sees it. It's like what represents you. And so it's difficult when something is different, everybody will notice. But what we as human beings just need to be is we need to be a bit more empathetic and treat everybody with respect. Yeah. And of course, information. Most people are like, is this something I can, you know, contract? And so maybe that's one of the fears. It's absolutely not contagious. And even if it were, some people will probably be touching you because it's so beautiful.
Like me now.
Yes. Like they want to.
You should tell them how you want to jump over and you know, grab her. You already want her hair.
Unique. Some people appreciate unique beauty, but majority of people, you know, are a little bit more reserved. What we just need to continue to do is educate people from a very early age. So from children, we are all different and we're all unique, and everybody is, you know, fearfully and wonderfully made. Right. So you shouldn't discriminate or say, oh, someone is different, someone has, you know, a different skin tone, oh, this person is, what is this? Or someone has a person with albino, this is a ghost. You know, we just need to begin to educate people a lot more. And then sometimes you don't always have to say something. If you don't have anything good to say, just keep quiet. Yes. It's not you know, irrelevant. If it's not relevant or it's not uplifting, it's not by force for you to, what happened to you? What's wrong with your face? And that's how we are, but we need to begin to learn or unlearn that and be a bit more empathetic to everyone. Yeah.
Well, we'll continue this conversation, but before we round up this conversation, let's go on a short break. When we return, we'll continue. Just stay with us. Welcome back. Now we're talking about vitiligo or vitiligo. Anyone you call it is correct according to Dr. Folakemi. Now we have Marie. with us. And according to Mazino, it's dairy. Dairy, you wanted to ask a question.
Okay, so while we were on break, I actually asked Darren if anybody had ever mistaken her for a burn victim, and your answer was
Yes.
people actually
A lot of people keep
that.
asking.
So, but there was one thing I wanted to ask the doctor regarding hereditary. It's hereditary? Is it hereditary?
Hereditary. Well, not always, but there is a genetic component to it.
Okay.
So most people with vitiligo would have a family history of somebody else in the family who may have had it to varying degrees. And a lot of people don't have any family history, but we find that it does run in families, and it's associated with other autoimmune conditions. So someone else in the family may have the hair loss, alopecia areata, and then a sibling or a cousin would have vitiligo. So there are some genetic associations, but it doesn't always, manifest.
Speaking of associations, are there associations in Nigeria? For instance, there might be people out there who do not have a connection or a network of people who are experiencing the same thing. And since we're talking World Vitiligo Day, how can they find these connections? Where do they go, and how helpful is it?
Okay. Yesterday, people living with vitiligo in Lagos, we came together at ICM Ikeja Avenue.
Colorful.
Oh, it was. People were looking at us. People took pictures with us. So the name of the community is the Vitiligo Community Support Group. You can check them out on Instagram, and I would say it's one of the reasons why I am able to be myself, because one, I noticed I could encourage people living with vitiligo. I have a long essay somebody wrote for me from the Vitiligo Community Support Group. It was beautiful. I loved it. My head was swelling. So these support groups are it's a lot. It's a lot for somebody. Like, I have a girl that just started vitiligo. I think last year. It was not this much, but since she joined the group, she has been up and doing. She was no more shy. She posts videos. You need to see the amount of videos that came out this year. I'm like, oh, you people are like, there are plenty like this. So compared to last year, they were all bottling up. People don't know. They don't know how to express themselves. But since they joined the support group, one thing I've always been doing, if I see you and you have vitiligo, I'll call your number. I'll add you to we have a WhatsApp group. We have Instagram, where let's encourage ourselves.
Do you want it more now? Be honest. I feel you're enjoying it a bit too much.
He's enjoying it though.
No, but that's the beauty of life. Whatever,
I'm telling you.
When life throws you lemons,
Make lemon
And
smoothie.
yes,
She made me lemon smoothie today, by the way.
whatever,
Thank you.
and all skin colors are beautiful, and nobody says you have to be one skin color. You can be different colors and look amazing, just like Mary.
So is there a situation where it takes over the entire body?
Yes, that can
happens.
happen. Yes, we've had patients who've had up to 90% of the body involved. And that's what we said, in some cases, once it's more than maybe 50 or 60%, you can give the person the option of total depigmentation if they don't like to have different colors. Because at the end of the day, it's what the person likes and is comfortable with. Some people are happy and comfortable having beautiful patterns, just like our lovely Darren here. Other people would say, no, I want to be one color. And so if that is an option where the vitiligo is quite extensive, then you can have them.
So for someone who wants one color, what did they do? Is that a tattoo? Is that a treatment?
So if the vitiligo affects up to 60 to 70%, there's a depigmentation. That's you take off the rest of the color. So it's a treatment. You have to see a dermatologist. You have to be counseled, because you realize that it's pretty much a permanent decision, and you need to. And then in our environment, we're not in a hurry to do that, because we live in a very
the melanin.
humid, high UV intensity environment where we need our melanin. And so without it, you're more vulnerable to UV damage from the sun and burns. It's not always in our environment the first thing that we think about.
And do people take advantage of that treatment, depigmentation?
No, absolutely
They do?
not.
They don't?
Well, from our perspective, it's not something that's offered to people who do not have
Okay.
extensive vitiligo. So, no.
Don't worry, it's not like bleaching cream.
Yeah, that's why I was going there.
I know that's what you're
I also noticed that there's a certain symmetry with vitiligo. Am I correct? Or is there, I don't know, most people I've seen have a certain aesthetic beauty, and it's because of that symmetry.
Well, there are different types. So with vitiligo, you have sometimes what we call this the segmental vitiligo, which affects a particular segment of the body. You know, so it could just be one side, and that's why it just looks like a style. And then you have the acrofacial vitiligo. So acro means hands, feet.
Okay.
And so people with acrofacial would have
Extremities.
on the extremities, and then facial around the mouth, around the eyes. So they have the eyes, mouth, and then the extremities, maybe the knees and the elbows as well. So that's acrofacial. So that's another type of vitiligo. And then you have the non-segmental. This doesn't really follow any particular pattern. It just takes a pattern of
Having
its own.
fun.
Yeah,
Anywhere,
and
Belle.
it can be anywhere, yes. And then that's, you know, usually what we see the most, but in some cases, more of the segmental. And then the acrofacial is very common. And with acrofacial, it doesn't really respond to treatment very much.
Why?
So there's some that once it gets to the hair follicles, treatment is usually doesn't, you know, the available treatment.
Who would want treatment? Anyway, I mean, look at her hair.
Exactly.
What the camera can't
I'm
pick
so
out.
jealous of her
What the
hair.
camera can't pick out is that her hair is actually blonde on the underground.
Yeah.
It's all blonde underground there, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
I'm
I'm jealous. I have
She was
been
telling
saying
us
it
that
since.
some people come to the salon to say they want
Yes.
this style on her hair, this color.
They should
I
go
said,
and
no, this
sleep
is
and
follow
pray.
come. It's not a
Oh
dye.
my God.
Yeah.
For both of you, what suggestion, no, what advice do you have, especially for parents? Like your father was a bit upset that what's happening to my daughter? He wanted to bake you back to black. So what suggestion do you have for parents who would notice that their kids are having these maybe patches on their bodies? What would you tell them from an emotional aspect, and what would you advise them from an expert point of view? But first, emotion.
First, I'd say go to the hospital, go get checked, confirm what you have is.
This is parents
vitiligo.
now. Parents
Yes,
now. Okay.
that's one. Take your children to the hospital, confirm what they have is vitiligo. If it is treatable, good, and if it's not, just love them. It is easier to get loved from home, because when you are loved from home, whatever it is they're saying out there is nothing. That was one of the things that helped me, though. My sisters would, they would play with me. They would call me names from home, jokingly. So whatever it is you're
What are
saying
some of the
out there,
affectionate names they called you at home?
Oh,
Jokingly.
affectionate.
Yes, I use that, you know.
they call me two colors. When I say I'm my mother's daughter, my first sister will say, no, you are not my mother's daughter. My mother did not have two colors. So imagine my sister saying that. So you outside want to call me two color.
Yeah, ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
So the family has a really big thing to do when it comes to people living with vitiligo. Show them love. Abuse them first.
Affectionately.
Yes.
Affectionately.
So when they see their love from home, there's always love at home, honestly. So when you're loved from home, whatever they're saying, because I'm telling you, I've been bullied. Social media, physically, I've been bullied. So when they say things like, what do you want to say? It's not new.
Why would anybody risk bullying you? I think you can beat anybody up. But from an expert professional point of view, what's your take?
Yes, what she said is absolutely correct. First, take the person to the hospital, because what we see is a lot of parents go everywhere else
But
apart from the hospital, and then they come at a very late stage. So sometimes early intervention has a better outcome. If you start treating it early with certain things, it may, if that's what they want. And then also, they need to understand that, you know, we don't have a cure for vitiligo. And in our environment, the problem is people say it's spiritual. And they begin to take the child or the person to different spiritual, and, you know, those things, it's not necessary. And so we want to say it's not a spiritual thing. It's just sometimes the body getting confused. Yeah. Finally, the parts of the skin that are light in complexion need to be protected from the sun.
100.
So using sunscreen on those areas is very important because there's no melanin. Melanin protects and prevents from UV damage and skin cancer. So it's very important that people who have vitiligo are counseled on sunscreen and sun protection in the hot environment to prevent UV damage and skin cancer on the affected parts of the skin or the light parts of the skin.
Right.
Yes.
Well,
That's very important.
this was really an interesting. I think I've been speechless because she is beautiful. I'm not sure you guys can see how beautiful she is. You need to see her hair, by the way, but I'm not here to sell skincare and hair products. Thank you, Marie, for joining. Thank you, Dr. Folake, for having this conversation. And Mazino, do you want vitiligo now?
I think it's long past. I can't. Unfortunately.
Just maybe you wake up tomorrow. Just know that it's me wishing.
I will accept it.
I would
go to town.
What?
Hey, I'm a painted black or white.
Oh my God. Well, that's it for this conversation. And maybe you hear it first from Breakfast Extra. You are beautiful if you have vitiligo. Don't feel bad. Go out there and shine. Now let's go to a short break. When we return, we start another conversation. To stay with us.
Morning once again and welcome. It's time for the strips. It's Queen's favorite part of Breakfast Extra. Queen, you're welcome. Thank you very much for joining because you are also analyzing the strips with me. And
I'm not.
Yes, you are. Yes,
Thank you.
We've got very interesting ones here today and we've ordered them in a certain way. You're going to enjoy them. Of course, every day I have to say this, all through the week we get a collection of editorial cartoons from inside of the week and we talk about them here today because art imitates life, or is it the other way around? Whatever the case, they're often very, very symmetric to what we see our daily lives as, our daily realities. And these guys do such good work that they pen it or draw it so good that you can't but say, they have something going there. Let's see our very first one, very interesting one. This one's from Business Day, if I'm not mistaken. Check this out, Queen. A very interesting depiction here. The figures, well, they might look familiar. It's, let's talk about, well, what it is business as usual versus whatever it is we have going on in Nigeria. Because see here, Queen, the cartoon here, let's first of all describe it. A figure inside from the window saying, hey, the window of surrender is open, still open, but the bandits here say, hey, thank you, Baba, but we still prefer the door of business as usual. What it's telling, the federal government's repeated calls for terrorists and bandits to surrender. Well, President Tinubu has shown openness and a window of surrender. He's always echoed that recent statement that insurgents should lay down their arms and face the full force of the state. Yet the bandits are saying that, no, Oga, we prefer this window because instead of enter through that, window, would rather use the door of business as usual, in quotes. And that's suggesting something very interesting, that despite official warnings, criminal groups still continue to operate with confidence. This is because, hey, they believe that they are earning something much more valuable than whatever it is the presidency could afford them. The cartoon's message is absolutely simple, is that government, or what government offers, whether it's amnesty or surrender, means little to them. They still believe conditions on the ground favor their survival and operation. So Tinubu's recent warning that the window might soon close, it still remains open. While the government figures indicate that thousands of these fighters are surrendering, most of them are still like, we'd rather just continue doing this. So the question is now, Queen, exactly how are you going to coax these guys out of the bushes and into, what's that word, reintegration, which I know you have a problem with?
Well, the funniest part is before these people became bandits and terrorists, they were citizens. They've seen the same script play over and over again. The tunnel or the door that they're passing is right beside the window, so you can't tell me that you're not seeing it. It's clear. We're seeing these things happen like, light of day, and still nothing. It feels like, whatever the government is saying feels like, stale news. They're not worried because nothing has ever been done.
Well, I add to it the fact that there's certain commercial factors going on, and the mining issue. The fact that there are other very big, notable Nigerians behind all of this. And look at the cost of all of that dead body by the ground there, because it's still going to happen, They're still going to there's still going to be casualties.
And then you
because of
want to
these operations.
reintegrate them. It's like giving them, 3 slices of bread and saying,
What do you
manage.
suggest? What do you suggest? Because
Well, I'm not in a place of government. My job
you
is
see
to
how hard
read
it is?
the news.
Do you
and
see how
tell
hard
you
it is?
What's happening? Well, because I'm on this side. If I was on that side, I would have a comment, but I don't.
You're not too young to run.
I'm right behind you.
You should find out.
While you're running, I'm right.
Thank you very much to the Super for Business Day. Let's see our next one, very interesting one called Cash for Crocodiles. I've been told that I have to rush through this one. Crocodiles here labeled terrorists and bandits. Well, they reject cash, and instead of, they demand for gold. It's just like the last one. The Rolex-wearing hand here draped with Nigerian colors likely represents government incentives and negotiations or financial inducement offered to these guys. However, the crocodiles, well, they prefer gold. That suggests that today's criminal networks are motivated by something far more lucrative than ransom payments or even amnesty packages like we discussed in the last one. Real quick, I want us to take our third cartoon that moves us away from the insecurity issues that we're having here in Nigeria. So our third cartoon, yeah, sort of. It's the defense minister, very nicely depicted, and the average you and I, the pressman. Here, both of them wandering into the forest, one with a rifle, the other with a gun. The journalist follows carrying the other with a pen. The journalist follows carrying his giant pen. Now, the journalist here, his declaration is that this is an opportunity to prove that the pen is mightier than the gun. This plays on the traditional belief in the power of journalism and public accountability. But really, Sambisa Forest has been associated for very long with Boko Haram and military operations against insurgents. And this cartoon is humorously suggesting that journalists often venture into dangerous territories, not with weapons, but with information gathering and storytelling. And it may also be commenting on the growing tendency of public officials and journalists to underrate highly publicized visits to conflict zones, where the perception battle can be nearly as impossible as the military campaign itself. So yes, I do understand what, who is this now, Asuko is trying to say here. But it's a joint effort, if you ask me in any way. We can't stop telling about what's happening inside of the space we find ourselves as pressmen. But yeah, I would hope that there's much more being done by the authorities when it comes to the military efforts that are being put in to help stop the insecurity. What's your take, Queen, real quick?
It's very simple, Mazino. If most of the things that we report here in Nigeria are the things we have access to. Most times when you get to the offices, to get to the main people who are in charge of whatever we're trying to find, we don't get them. They're never available. Take, for instance, yesterday where Victor went to see the rescued victims, and he was trying to talk to the police, but the police was waiting for their own, communication team before they give...
They have to.
If it's what you give us that we report. If you don't tell us exactly what's happening, if we don't see the blueprint, if you don't tell us, okay,
exactly.
You just say there's an operation that happened, where is the drone video? What happened? Who are the people? We don't get all these things. So we only report what you show us. So you don't expect us to not stay in front of Sambisa Forest with our pen.
I think you're pointing to the very obvious gap that exists inside of our Nigerian police system, and that's communication. In fact, inside of our Nigerian governance system.
The whole Nigeria.
Yeah, it's sad. But then again, we have very little time, Queen, so we have to rush through to our very next one. The presidency, as you can see there, presidency, let's put it that way. It's a clever way on the word presidency, by the way. The cartoon is depicting a lone figure, as you can see, paddling on top of a table labeled power. Well, notice some things here. He's floating on top of a sea of hunger. As you can see, all these empty packs on there. The plate serving that he is actually riding in. It's a boat, but it's a plate, and the spoon is acting as a paddle. That reinforces the theme of food and survival. Beneath the table, heap of refuse, symbolizing economic hardship that you and I are facing, inflation, unemployment, and of course, declining living standards. This is suggesting a very interesting disconnection between those who occupy the corridors of power and the ordinary Nigerians struggling with hunger, while leaders remain afloat on the table there, as you can see, with political power, citizens below are left navigating worsening economy. An image, well, it's simple. It's that widespread public discourse around rising food prices and cost of living in Nigeria as it continues to dominate conversations, whether you like it or not. Who that is depicting, I do not know exactly, but I have a few guesses, but I'm not going to tell. But it's just very interesting. That's a table he's on top of. That's a table. It's a suka once again for Business Day. What do you think, Queen?
I don't think it's a table. It's a sea called power.
That's the sea. He's comfortable on the table.
A boat.
It's a
boat
plate.
of power.
It's actually a plate.
No, the plate is the boat. The power itself is a what? A table on the sea.
Okay.
Anyway,
What do you think?
It's just crazy. It's the same thing Nigerians are saying. We're suffering. A lot is happening, and it feels like those in power are not seeing it, and they're saying, "Oh, Nigeria is good. We're growing on the books," but in reality, it's not working. It's like coming to Lagos and say, "This is Lagos," and they tell you Lagos is clean.
That's a dip. That's a good one. Nice. Let's move for a very fast one. Our last one today is, I love to save Bulama till the last. Bulama is very interesting, very, very, very brilliant. It's very simple. Father-daughter kitchen table type of conversation all the time, still representing the Palestinian flag there. Daughter says to father, Dad, they've discovered huge lithium and platinum deposits in Kaduna. Dad says, hush, hush now, don't tell them. The bandits might get there before the investor. Now, the humor is masked. It masks a very serious concern. Nigeria's growing mineral wealth, especially deposits of lithium, gold, and other strategic minerals, well, that's attracted significant attention, especially in states like Zamfara and the rest, if I'm not mistaken. And security experts and lawmakers have increasingly linked banditry or illegal mining operations in the north to these minerals. The cartoon suggests that mineral discoveries can become a curse rather than a blessing. Tell us something we don't already know. In the 1970s and 80s, oil boom. Look where we are now. So trust me, we know about this. But recent reports have highlighted the discovery of major mineral deposits in Kaduna, and I think in Zamfara and some other states. Investigations have also tied these to illegal mining proceeds being sponsored and, of course, being supported by armed groups. That's all the strips. But what do you think about this last one, Queen?
It is well.
Hmm?
That's all I have to say.
That's
it is
it?
well. That's it.
No, it's much bigger than that. There's plenty of problem in Nigeria because of this issue. And listen, we've always talked about the violence, the kidnapping, the insurgency and all, but there's very little being said about the illegal mining. We're not shouting much about that. And I've always said this for the past 2 years since I've been there. That's the root cause. Whether it's Benue, Zamfara, and all these other states, it's getting to the root cause, getting to that, to finding out what that issue is, what that mineral is, what that resource is, and the elements around it. You'll cure all of this. But we're seeing it metamorph into something else as it moves into the south now, which has nothing to do with mining, but we let it grow. It's our own monster. All right, I'm being chased out of here, but thank you very much for staying with us through these strips. We'll bring you another cart next weekend when we gather them. Here's where you find them. You can find a rerun on YouTube. Do follow us on there. Thank you very much. I'm going back to Queen now. Welcome back again. Now, for another conversation, running a small business in Nigeria has become increasingly challenging. Rising energy costs, inflation, and the high cost of doing business continue to put pressure on entrepreneurs, forcing many to find creative ways to stay afloat. One solution gaining traction is solar energy, with many business owners turning to cleaner and affordable alternatives to reduce operating costs and keep their businesses running. News Central's Charles Pius, he's got more on it in this package here.
For years, small businesses across Nigeria have lived at the mercy of darkness, unstable electricity, rising fuel prices, and generators that consume more than they produce. But increasingly, many are discovering that survival no longer comes from petrol. It comes from the sun.
That time they use generator. Sometimes if na with the big time no go take on generator. So that more no just the waste fuel.
In Kuchingoro, on the outskirts of Abuja, power outages used to disrupt business for thrift shop owner Adeleke Eniola. Customers hurried home before darkness. Sales suffered. Then she switched to solar power. Now her shop stays open longer. The fans keep customers comfortable, and evenings, once dreaded, have become her busiest hours. People returning from work now stop by to shop, and business, she says, has improved.
So it was not a good experience at all. I remember those periods I used torchlights. Me and my customer, we used torchlight just to show them what they want to buy. No, and not like they won't buy for me, but then I just want them that comfort. Like they should know what they are buying, they should see what they are buying, like not like you're seeing another thing and getting another thing. But when there was no lights, it's something else. All thanks to solar power. That has not been stable, but since I've been using solar, I've had consistent lights. I use my fan during the hot weather. My customer don't complain about heat, and me also, I don't complain about heat either. So it has been also the lightning, most especially at night, because most of my customers come back at night from work. That's when they come, and they need light to see what they are purchasing. And solar has been useful to me towards that aspect.
Just next door, Baba Yakubu Caleb remembers spending nearly 5,000 naira every day on fuel. Sometimes most of what he earned went back to generator. But after embracing solar energy, that burden disappeared. Today, the money once spent on petrol goes back into his business.
I just spend like 5,000 naira in a day for fuel. But now, as I use solar now, everything is easy for me now. I just spend that money again. And Kuchingoro here, we know they get lights like that. Now once in a while like this, now you will see lights. And I even lose some of my customers because of light issues. Some people they will come, lights no day. They will just come out to go, like some people they will go inside town, go barb their hair.
In Enugu, supermarket owner Chinedu Chemba made the switch to solar in late 2023. When fuel prices soared after subsidy removal, many businesses struggled. He barely felt the impact. Lower operating costs allowed him to save more money. His store stays open longer, and customers keep coming.
That time we for that money. We don't know how much they sell for that time. Yes, we know how we manage it. Like by 9 o'clock, we want the fridges. By 5, we go off and manage them from night till time we close.
In Nasarawa State, Suleiman Dauda earns a living charging phones and electronic devices. Generators often failed when overloaded. Repairs consumed both time and money. Customers complained about rising charges. Solar changed everything. Now electricity is stable. Business runs throughout the day. And customers...
Unfortunately, we can't finish that piece there, but it is available on YouTube for you to see. We have a conversation about this, however, this morning.
Of course, and micro, small and medium enterprises, better known as MSMEs, remain the backbone of Nigeria's economy, contributing significantly to employment and economic activities. But with rising inflation, high operating costs, limited access to finance, and declining consumer purchasing power, many small businesses are finding it increasingly difficult to survive.
So yesterday, as the world marked MSME Day, the focus was not only on celebrating entrepreneurs, but also on addressing the challenges threatening the growth and sustainability of small businesses. For many business owners, staying afloat has become a daily struggle. While government and private sector initiatives continue to support entrepreneurship, many operators say more needs to be done to improve access to funding, infrastructure, and an enabling business environment. So, what does the future hold for Nigeria's MSMEs, and what policies are needed to help them thrive? Well, joining us this morning are Ebiekure Iradiri, President of the Association of Small and Medium Enterprises, and Faiz Mohammed, an economist and financial director at Innovation Support Network. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this breakfast morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Now,
Thank you for having us.
Mr. Iradiri, let me start with you. Of course, we've seen, we would agree that MSME is really contributing to the country, but, you know, we celebrated the day yesterday. How would you describe the current state of small businesses across the country, small and medium?
A very good morning, Nigeria. First of all, I wish to say happy MSME Day. We are still in the spirit of celebration. The small and medium enterprises truly the engine room for growth for any economy. Particularly in a country like Nigeria, where you have about 40 million SMEs based on statistics, you will agree with me that they impact very well on the economy. Unfortunately, in recent times, we are not totally happy with what is going on in the MSME subsector of Nigeria. And why is this? This is because the SMEs rely so much on power, electricity, and electricity has been down low in Nigeria. It's not been impressive. I know this is causing a lot of people to migrate to use the solar energy systems, renewable energy. And what is now beginning to become a threat in Nigeria is the fact that, like in Lagos, for instance, there is a story that even using the solar systems we tax, this is a challenge that SME face, looking for their own solutions, and then the enabling environment expected of government doesn't seem to allow them thrive. Imagine you setting up your own solar system just to be able to become profitable, and then government needs to have the thoughts of actually taxing the solar system. So it's not exactly a good place to be. But beyond that, I think that there are other parts where one should commend the Nigerian government for support given to the MSMEs in Nigeria. I know for one that in the last 2 or 3 years of this administration, SMEs have been enjoying some level of financial support, special schemes, and I think that this has also helped the SME. But at the same time, I think we should have balance. For MSMEs try and improve.
All right, Dr. Radu. Dr. Radu.
They should keep it better.
Dr. Radu, we have a bit of issue with your audio. We can hear you, but would love to hear you more. So perhaps the next time we come to you for a response, we'd like you to sit up just like that. Maybe we'll be able to hear you better. But Faiz, let me come to you as an economist. Let's take a look at it from your perspective. Can you please help us explain why exactly MSMEs are very important to the Nigerian economy, what the government might be missing when it comes to focusing its strength on trying to build this community?
Yes, thank you. Well, MSMEs are quite literally the backbone of Nigeria's economy because they combine three things every developing country needs: job creation, wealth generation, and economic resilience. Large corporations are important, of course, but they simply cannot absorb the millions of young Nigerians who enter the labor market every year. So MSMEs fill that gap by creating employment across various sectors: agriculture, manufacturing, technology, and they stimulate local production by sourcing inputs domestically and serving markets that larger businesses often overlook. I think beyond employment, MSMEs are also central to innovation. Many of Nigeria's most successful companies started as small enterprises that identified local problems and built practical solutions. I think this entrepreneurial ecosystem encourages competition, improves productivity, and those are factors that are needed in every economy to ensure its continued growth. Most importantly, MSMEs decentralize economic opportunity. They create livelihoods in both rural and urban communities, which reduces regional inequalities and allows for the creation of local markets. So when small businesses thrive, the household income therefore rises, and then consumption rises, and then government revenues rise or improve because there's a broader tax base. I think what the government has been doing is focusing on small and micro businesses to ensure that they have access to certain levels of financial aid in order to allow them to continue to grow. However, the reality is that the inflation rates, and I think core inflation is something around 16.2%, with inflation that high, it becomes very hard for entrepreneurs to be able to source materials, pay for energy, pay for rent, and that really raises the cost of doing business, eating into their profit margins and making it much more difficult to diversify and create long-term prosperity.
While I congratulate the efforts by the government when it comes to encouraging small businesses, like Dr. Radiri had told, there is also one factor to take note of. While these businesses need funding and all, and are encouraged by funding and all, there is the fact that there are no amenities. And like we saw from the report that we put before, there is a very big epidemic when it comes to power. These businesses need power to be able to succeed. So do you think that perhaps that effort is a bit misdirected? How about we fix the amenities, make sure that the environment is perfect for these businesses to thrive, then we can fund them. Shouldn't that be number one before tackling funding and policies, YCEE?
Yes, certainly. You've made the case already. Funding is important, but money alone rarely builds successful businesses. Many entrepreneurs need stronger capabilities. They need better networks and improved market access beyond just the capital. Technology adoption should also receive greater attention. I think digital tools help businesses improve their efficiency, and expanding both digital literacy and affordable internet access will accelerate that transformation. I think there's also a lack of collaboration between different research institutions. The market needs are not necessarily the research needs, and therefore what we see as consumer demand might not necessarily be reflective of what exists within the business market. And certainly, as you mentioned, there is the problem of infrastructure. Without the necessary investment in enabling infrastructure in everything from logistics to storage to the aforementioned, business advisory services, it would be very difficult for entrepreneurs to be able to expand on a consistent basis. Entrepreneurship flourishes when businesses have access not only to finance, but also to knowledge, to technology, to partnerships, to supportive institutions, and enabling infrastructure. So without all of these being made available, it will be difficult for the market to reach critical mass and become the necessary engine of development that we need for the country.
Right. Dr. Radi, I'm sure you've joined us. Can you hear me? Awesome. Faiz has mentioned some things that, of course, it's not just funding. Yes, we agree that the government is doing, some level of, work for small and micro businesses. Apart from, funding, like Faiz said, infrastructure, what other suggestions do you think that they need to consider to make sure that the MSMEs that we have in Nigeria is standing and is functioning despite the inflation and, everything that they're facing?
Thank you very much. And I invite you for great things here. Clearly, the MSMEs to thrive need to go beyond the infrastructure and go beyond access to funds. Access to market, access availability of market is very important. So it's about access. If MSME in Nigeria able to focus on export, government supports to export, then they will end foreign currency, and also government be able to ensure levels of flow of
Dr. Radiri.
So basically it would be...
Dr. Radiri, my apologies, but we can barely hear you. We're hoping that maybe if you put out your video, we should be able to make do with sound. Maybe that would suffice. So if you can take out the video, the visuals, maybe we'll make do with sound. Could we try that?
Hear me better?
We can hear you much better.
Do you
now.
hear me better?
Absolutely. Please go on.
Okay. Awesome. So I said clearly that the government can play very vital roles towards development of MSMEs in Nigeria. That subsector, if it focuses more on exports, or export-related products for SMEs and by the MSMEs in Nigeria. That will make SMEs thrive. Beyond access to finance, what is most important is infrastructure, is access to markets and availability of markets. And so if the MSMEs have a guided approach towards availability of markets and access to markets, then they will thrive. And so you must work out a balance. So one of the things we encourage is for government to give that enabling support for them to be able to, for the SMEs to be able to flourish and thrive. You know, right now in Nigeria, like you have also mentioned, the inflation rates are causing SMEs to strive. We don't want them to strive, we want them to thrive. So that's the direction we are going to. So we are saying that government needs to go beyond deficit in infrastructure. Government needs to go beyond access to finance. Government needs to really focus on exports, which is going to be good for the government, it's going to be good for the country, it's going to be good for the MSME subsector of Nigeria.
So what are the biggest barriers preventing this happening currently? Because that's such a good idea. If we can get that dollar factor going, bring in the dollars instead of just, you know, manage with what we have here, the Nigerian currency, why aren't they thinking about this? What are the factors that are hindering this process?
Well, I'm afraid I may not be able to give you an appropriate answer to why that is a challenge, you know, because it should be a no-brainer, right? You've got the Nigerian Export Promotion Agency or outfit, you know, and so they should double up on that mandate. But I think one of the issues we may be having as a challenge will be policy somersault. You know, the policies are not coherent. The policies are such that they are not exactly as friendly as they should be. So they should become more friendly. And just as it is in the US, I tell you this, one of the things that have given the US so much edge or given China edge is the fact that they rely on the SMEs. They rely on the exports done by the SMEs.
Exactly.
And then they enjoy the benefits of inflow of foreign exchange into their economies. And so that becomes the boost. When they say the SMEs are the engine room for growth, economic growth, this is exactly what you mean. So there must be an intentional, a deliberate effort towards ensuring that MSMEs are able to export what they have. And today we're talking about the AFCFTA market. What does the AFCFTA market mean to Nigeria? Nigeria should be able to export within Africa and across the globe. So these are very important connections that the government needs to put together. There must be a clear matrix to be able to achieve this. And I hope and I believe that the SMEs will do better and be more profitable in Nigeria.
Right. So, Faiz, the president had mentioned that, you know, difficult reforms need to take place and before we see results. How long do you think the small businesses can wait before we see results? Faiz?
How long can they wait? Well, I'm not sure it's about how long the businesses can wait and more about how long before the government recognizes that not focusing on the right issues is going to be catastrophic to the needs of the SME sector. You know, when it comes to the question of Nigerian exports, for example, there's several reasons why it's not particularly feasible at this point. The first is most MSMEs cannot produce to export at quality and scale. International buyers want consistency, they want quality, they want standardized packaging, they want reliable delivery schedules, they want compliance with health and safety standards. And the truth is many MSMEs simply lack the necessary quality control systems and certifications needed to meet all of these expectations. So that's one area that the government certainly needs to focus on. Historically, the government has also focused on crude oil over non-oil exports. And while there have been initiatives to improve this, they have often been fragmented, as the doctor mentioned earlier. The policy, both the policy environment and the political will has not necessarily aligned with the realities that MSMEs face. As long as inflation continues to remain high and infrastructure isn't as supportive as it should be, we're going to see businesses continue to struggle. So it's less about how long they can wait, and it's more about how long is it going to take the government to recognize that at a certain point we're going to reach a critical stage.
Guys, I hear what you say. Yes, infrastructure, we lack that. And of course, we have other factors that are not helping small businesses. But I still want to double down on export. I'm wondering, if we're talking about export at dollar, how about ECOWAS? Why was it put together in the first place? Wasn't it to facilitate trade across West African countries as well? And I'm wondering why we don't take advantage of that as small businesses. Why are we waiting to export outside of Africa when we have our little sub-region here? The AU itself, Africa is another thing. What about borderless trade? What's ever happened to that? So for a small business that's hoping to step outside of Nigeria, what practical steps do you think they can take with all the factors working against them? Give us a bit of hope here. What can they do to be able to cross into that exportability market?
Yeah, so I think hope comes from elected officials, not necessarily from economists. But let me first do a little bit of a history lesson, because it's important to put things into context. When you look at, for example, the Africa Free Trade Agreement, this was signed all the way back in 2021. But if you will remember, during the last administration, a few days after it was signed, Nigeria also closed its borders. Mm-hmm. And so that really contracted the ability of a lot of businesses to be able to export for quite a number of years. What that does is that it reduces the level of trust that foreign markets have within Nigeria. So export promotion requires collaboration between customs, between standard agencies, ports, banks, logistic providers, trade promotion institutions, internationally, not just internally. And when those systems don't work seamlessly, small businesses are simply discouraged from exporting. It's really that simple. So the conversation should not be about whether Nigeria should support MSME exports. Of course it should. But the real question is how. So an effective strategy, for example, would be developing sector-specific export clusters. There's textiles in Kano, there's shea butter in Niger, there's cocoa processing in Ondo, and you build clusters around those specific areas. You help these MSMEs obtain international certifications by training them to meet quality standards. You expand export financing and export credit guarantees, which is something that I know the Ministry of Industry is working on currently. You create common processing, packaging, and testing facilities. So rather than have a situation where entrepreneurs and MSMEs are themselves trying to process and package, you have entire facilities where several entrepreneurs or several companies can use those facilities for that particular purpose. Wow. And then if you can link Nigerian MSMEs with international buyers through trade missions or digital B2B marketplaces, this will provide targeted export readiness training for these businesses. Yeah. If Nigeria wants to diversify its economy beyond oil and focus on MSMEs, we need to focus on our industrial policy. You look at countries like Bangladesh, like Turkey, like Vietnam, their economies transformed by enabling these small businesses to become exporters. Okay. But in order to do that, they need to meet international standards and compete globally.
Thank you so much, Faiz Mohammed, for joining and having this conversation. And of course, Mr. Ibiakuri Iradi, Dr. Ibiakuri Iradi, apologize. Thank you so much for having this conversation with us.
Thank you.
Now let's go on a short break. When we return, we start another conversation. Mazino is holding his breath. See you in a bit.
Welcome again. It's time for another big story. And now, a very interesting thing happened last week. A comment by rapper YCEE about an Olodo Uprising. Well, it sparked widespread reactions on social media, reigniting conversations about education, about success, and the pressure to maintain or rather remain relevant in today's digital age. Now, the remark and the responses that followed, including criticisms from content creators Jarvis and Peller, Carter, and a few others, have divided opinion, with many questioning whether academic achievement still holds the same value in an era where social media influence and entertainment can quickly translate into fame and financial success.
And beyond the online exchanges, the debate has evolved into a broader conversation about how society defines success. Is it formal education that is still the surest path to opportunity, or are young people increasingly measuring success through visibility, influence, and wealth? This morning, we examine what this conversation says about the changing aspirations of Nigerian youth and whether the entertainment industry is reinforcing or challenging these perceptions. And joining us is one of our favorite Take 3 anchors, Kate Adeogo, who is, of course, entertainment correspondent, and Nelson Fagbemi, who's a talent manager and music executive. Thank you both for joining us. Hello, Kate.
Hi, Queen.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Thank you very much for joining.
Weekends.
So if she's your favorite Take 3, the others are...
one off.
Okay.
Nelson
Nelson's with us. Nelson, thank you very much for joining this morning. Grant, good to have you here, Nelson. Let's do ladies first.
So. Thank you so much.
Kate.
Yes.
You know when Mazino said, the Olodo Uprising, I'm like, what is it? I know I left entertainment for so long, but Kate, just give us a breakdown of what the story is about.
Since you guys discussed it as well inside of Take 3.
Yes, we did.
How did it go there?
We did talk about it on Take 3, and it was a whole lot of back and forth. I mean, with regards to this conversation, opinions are divided, but let me start from where it stemmed up from. It's from YCEE. He was featured on a podcast, the Afropolitan podcast, and they were having conversations about education, anti-intellectualism, and a whole lot of other things. His career, his journey, he has a new album out and all of that. So they started talking about the educational system in the country, with, according to him, is in shambles right now, chaos, right? Which I kind of agree with. That's why he now mentioned the Olodo Uprising, like there is this rise of unintelligent, dull people, and then he now linked it to content creation as well, where he now mentioned the Peller culture. Okay. And that's where the debates, that was now what led to this wide national debates right now.
It is national, remaining small, the government is going to take it up.
Well, I think we have the clip.
Yeah, that's
if
what
our
we're looking
producer
at
can just put it up, let us hear it for a little bit, please.
This Olodo Uprising that we even have right now.
Olodo Uprising?
Yeah, bro. It's terrible. I promise you. It's like we are trying so much to accommodate unintelligent people and ignorant people because we don't want them to feel bad and all these things. So now they're now like the majority. There's a massive attack on the educational system in Nigeria, bro. Aside from like the kidnapping and the Boko Haram, which is like, bro, those guys are literally going at that nerve center. Other factors, leadership not prioritizing things that are important, the society not celebrating academic excellence. People don't even want to go to school anymore. Like, it's just like, why?
It's Yahoo culture.
It's not even just Yahoo culture. Now we have Peller culture. So if we keep rewarding all these guys, like, people see that you just have to just do dumb, crazy shit, just go online, maybe do some obscene, whatever, and you get clicks, you get numbers, like that's what moves the needle in Nigeria. Then what are you telling, the rest of the impressionable young people out there? No shade to Peller. I have nothing against dude personally. Like, bro, get your coins by any means. But, at the end of the day, that thing is only going to be sustainable for a period of time.
Interesting take there by YCEE, and that's the match that lit this entire fire. Nelson, you're here to talk about that. You had a very strong opinion all the way from Wuhan, China. What's your take on the issue here? YCEE saying that there's a Peller culture going on and we're celebrating on intelligence?
Well, one thing we must know is that buffoonery is like a major aspect of the theater or content, basically. And the likes of Babasue, the likes of Osofia, the likes of Aki and Popo have used this to fame. So I don't think like there's a Peller culture. I think buffoonery has been like a major aspect of our theater in terms of content. And what people like to view. And that's how this guys have had their fame. But the problem is we haven't been able to differentiate between the act and the personality, or differentiate real life. We know that Osofia, we know that Mr. Ibu, they were all acting up. But with Peller, it just seems like, oh, this is how it is, you know, normally. Peller has over 15.7 million followers on TikTok. He averages over 4 million views on TikTok as well. So it means that a lot of people are, you know, viewing up his content. A lot of people are seeing what he's doing. A lot of people love what he's doing. To be able to, you know, have an act and then you're consistent with it, it takes a certain level of intelligence to do that. But I think maybe YCEE's point is the fact that education has been, there's an attack on education, and I agree with that. Sometime last year, Peller was advertising for cameramen, and then he was, you know, being derogatory about the fact that he had master's degree holders applying for roles, and he was almost majorly laughing at them, and that's not cool at all. You're not the first person without proper secular education to have made it. You know, there've been people who, I know that our parents, you know, prioritize the fact that we have to go to school to get education, but there've been a lot of people who didn't go through school, who didn't go through university, and then they're big, they have companies, and then they're doing really great for themselves. But at the end of the day, I think there's an attack on education. YCEE is right. Is Peller to blame for the Olodo Uprising? I don't think so.
Thank you, Nelson. I just wanted to say something that you guys do not know. While we're talking about this Olodo Uprising and we're mentioning names of social media creators who have gone real high and that they might not be that intelligent, Kata Ife is a first-class student. Did you know that? So
He said first class upper though.
well, hey, but the point is that he's educated and he still takes part in what Nelson here just described as buffoonery, and it's a fact. I absolutely think what Nelson has just told is that's where I stand. From the very first day that I saw that, I thought to myself, there's plenty of room to be an intelligent, famous person. There's plenty of room to be a Baba Suwe, for instance. But like he said, it's that line where, oh, we know this person is acting and this person is not. But then authenticity sells.
Said what was going through my mind was the video. Was it this year or last year that Peller was driving?
Yes.
That was by accident, Nollywood accident or Bollywood. That video. Now Peller has a lot of, you know, streams and everything, meaning a lot of people are looking up to him. Whether you like it or not, once you're a celebrity, you just have these followers that follow you blindly. So I think the problem here is not if he's acting or if it's real. Now, if it's real, people will say, hey, if he did not go to school, why do I have to go to school to attain what he has attained? So I think the damage here, Kate, let me know if you agree with me, is more of his acting is actually real because there's so many other young people who now wants to be like him and, you know, neglecting the fact of education.
Yes, because the truth is, if you have a large following like that, that mass following, you're prone to be a role model.
Right.
An influence. You know, people want to imitate what you're doing, especially because there is money in it, right? So if I go to school, and I know that when I'm done with school, there is this graduate unemployment thing happening as well. And I can be a content creator and do stupid things, quote unquote, and make money. Would I want to go to school? I think that's also where YCEE is coming from with regards to the education part of it. Look at the rate of kidnappings and out-of-school children. I saw a UNESCO 2026 report. I can't remember the actual figure now. It's about 1 million or more students who are not in school, right? And because of the kidnappings and all that, so parents will be, if I'm a parent, I'll be worried to take my child to school, right? So that is also a factor in this. So with great numbers comes great responsibility as well. So if that is your real self,
I like that.
If that is your real self, Peller, then we should be a bit worried. And let's not forget, I also mentioned when you started.
Why are you worried that that's his real self? That's
no, I mean, because people are trying to imitate the things that he's doing and be like him.
So whose problem? The parents that are training these people. Well, what's their responsibility? But I see. Listen, for me, I think
as well.
the issue is our definition of education.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly is education? We're always praising people who have masters or higher degrees
Yes.
and all of that, but we forget that when we get home, someone's going to have to fix our plumbing. Somebody's going to have to fix our cabinets and stuff like that. That's an education they got, vocational, but it was still an education.
Yes.
And if we support and push that, I think that everybody is...
But you don't get fame being a plumber.
No. Who says that you
Except
don't?
it's on TikTok.
Who says that you don't?
Right.
I mean, I think we restrict ourselves here in Nigeria when it comes to our use of social media. We think that it's only things that are outstanding that you should push. That you should put. You want to say something about that, Nelson? Please go ahead.
Yes, I totally agree. I feel like the algorithm, especially for TikTok, they one of the things that's made TikTok really successful is the fact that they have tried to push content that are not niche content. For example, when I started in the business of influencer management, content marketing, we used to use basically all the influencers that had, huge following for almost all types of content. But that has totally changed. So there are creators who do educational content, they are lifestyle creators, so there's niche-based content right now. But the problem is, for example, the person who scored really high in JAM, I think there was an event to celebrate her. How many people liked the content?
Exactly.
People like what Peller is doing, and that's what that's what's getting likes, and so from the algorithm, that's what people are pushing. So I think it's an issue of the society. It's an issue of values. Every society has people who are funny, who are moving contents that are funny. For example, here in China, where the government is in charge of all the content, so basically in charge of all the communication platforms. There are still people who have funny contents, and they're still everywhere. But the question is, what are the values? I think I like the idea of with great power comes responsibility. And so my plea is to Peller. You have millions and millions of followers. Like I said earlier, you're not the first person to get millions of followers off doing your type of content. But you have to realize that the world is at large. One of the reasons why this popular content creator who came to Nigeria is big is because he has no secular education as well. But he's trying to push, sell contents that people can actually relate with. He did a tour of Africa trying to tell the African culture. So these and many other things that I wish Peller can. I think one of my teachers used to say back in high school or back in secondary school that for improvement, the room for improvement continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So Peller, you're young, you're doing great, but there's so many things that you need to work on, personal development, and you are influencing an entire generation. People are not going to remember you for the amount of money that you have. Isaac Newton is not remembered for the amount of money that he has. He's remembered for the change he has made in the society. So I think as a people, we need to change our values. When we were growing up, there were a lot of shows like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Shows that
Nelson, let me butt in there real quick. You went straight to my next question. So would you agree that it is more of our culture, not social media, that is making our youth or the people lean towards this type of content?
Our definition of success.
Definition of success, and not lean towards a more educative content.
Well, there's, like YCEE said, there's an attack on education. I think it starts from the catchphrase, school is a scam. We need to move that aside. School is definitely not a scam. There are over 20 million active content creators right now. There are, about maybe 400 to 500,000 of them who are making money actively, maybe via gigs or influencer payouts from live streams, but how many of them are making money? School is still the fastest way and the best way out of poverty. This lifestyle of YOLO is also another problem. You only live once. No, we need to focus on the fact that in life, there are steps. This sudden urge for money is
Whoa. Nelson, hang on a second. Sorry, Kate is here. School, fastest way to wealth?
Education.
While we're talking about Peller's lack of intelligence and all of that, there's also something happening inside of the education system that we are noticing. What's the current JAM score cutoff mark? Because even that's a problem. Yes. It's being lowered. What is it now, Kate? 150?
150.
So tell me we're not celebrating buffoonery. I mean, higher education is supposed to be higher education. People who are intelligent enough are supposed to go there. But if you keep lowering it, then you're just simply bringing the standard down to where you're arguing actually. So what's the difference? What's the difference between the person who goes to school that scored 120 and is able to make it into the university and somebody who says, you know what, I'm not even going to bother. I'm just going to focus on my own expressions and see if I can make money faster out of there. I don't need a certificate. So, hey, I'm going to do it. So while I'm on both sides of this conversation, I just think it's important to note that at the end, hey, be you, do you, as long as it's legal and it's not hurting anybody, it's okay. The rest sentiments are individual. Absolutely. They're personal. If you think that, no, I'm not going to do that, let them breathe. Is my take. Kate, I don't know if you agree. Please, you're the entertainment expert, not me.
I mean, I'm just thinking about it from the impact angle, right? Because whatever you're churning out, it does something to people who are watching, who are listening. You know, the influence. Like I said earlier, there's great responsibility that comes with you having a large following. So what are you putting out? What impact does it have on the person listening to you or watching you?
Do you
what does
think there
it
should
do
be policy
to you?
to regulate people who have perhaps maybe, if you have more than 500,000 followers in Nigeria? I know that in China now there's policy when it comes to social media. But what if in Nigeria, let's say you have more than 500 followers, maybe there should be something that says, this is what you can do, this is what you can't do. Because that's a cult, for instance. You can start an entire army.
But 500 is still up.
It's still plenty.
Even if you have 2 following.
No.
Trust me, even if you have to... Change starts from somewhere. Change starts from somewhere. I think maybe the way other countries are putting policies down to Singapore, where they say they don't even sell chewing gum in Singapore, so that you don't throw it on the floor. Maybe we have to be intentional about everything, because of course, like YCEE said, it's not just about insecurity, education, every single thing. Because at the end of the day, these are the people that will get older.
Yeah, they'll go for presidency someday.
Yes.
Another problem is the fact that, I mean, let's look at it. You only need like a WAEC certificate to contest for presidency. To almost get a job, you have to.
So what are we arguing? What are you? Harry could do it. So why can't Peller?
But to get a job, you need almost like a bachelor. So I think all of these things are things that we need to we really need to look into these laws and see how well we can prioritize academic excellence and our values. Most importantly, I don't know what the orientation agency they're doing about that. I wanted to say something about. Have you noticed how much? A lot of people are celebrating. I think there's been a lot of conversations about the Yoruba culture recently, and that's because a lot of our movies on Netflix are coming out, pushing the Yoruba culture. I feel like when we start to have also movies, because that's also another culture shaping way of educating people. A lot of people get conversations from what they learn from the movie, and so.
Nelson, your Wuhan connection is a bit iffy now.
When he's talking about bringing culture, I just remember the long cane. Maybe they need to bring that back. You miss a test,
Sorry, Nelson, we lost you for a bit there.
Get a touch.
I'm still going to stand on my ground and say that it's the condition it's the condition that's forcing people to be stupid. And if stupid sells, hey, it's easy. Might as well.
And then the people who are pushing it as well.
Yeah. Who's your favorite influencer, by the way, currently? Let's take a sample. Who's your favorite? Who's your best?
I like Tomike Adeoye.
Okay.
Yeah, because of the kind of content.
And you?
My favorite what?
Influencer or anyone you follow on
my mother.
on socials.
I'm not a social media person.
Eric Egugwa for me. He's very intelligent.
I'm not a social
absolutely
media
intelligent.
person.
To each his own is what I'm trying to say. If you follow Kadi or Peller, it's okay. If you follow Eric or whoever, it's your thing. But yes, responsibility should also be employed. I agree with you, Kate. Kate Adeogun, thank you for joining us.
Where he's
Stella
saying
on
Kate.
Take
What's sending
3.
Mazino to Take 3?
Every single day, every single weekday on Take 3, you'd find Kate and a couple other people. All 3 girls. Sorry, it's Sam Dandy, Kate, and
Kemini. Nelson, thank you so much for joining us and having this conversation. And hopefully, we'll take education seriously. And God help us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nelson.
And Kate.
Thank you.
So good to see you. Now let's go on a short break, of course. And success comes in different shapes and sizes. And we hope that truly people will take note and do what's right. Let's go on a short break. When we return, we have other conversation. Now, a proposal to establish a new national public health institution is generating debate within Nigeria's health sector. While supporters say the new agency could strengthen the country's preparedness for disease outbreaks, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, has raised concerns over the plan. The agency argues that creating another institution could lead to duplication of responsibilities, increased costs, and unnecessary overlap in the country's public health system. The conversation has now shifted from whether Nigeria needs stronger public health institutions to whether that goal should be achieved by creating a new agency or strengthening the one that already exists. As lawmakers continue to consider the proposed bill, stakeholders are weighing the potential benefits, challenges, and long-term implications for Nigeria's healthcare system.
So, joining us this morning to have this conversation is Dr. Francis Era, who's a consultant in community medicine at Irua Specialist Teaching Hospital. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. This is a pleasure to have you here. Let's discuss health now and everything surrounding it. Now, I'm wondering exactly, well, first of all, if you can tell us, especially viewers who have followed this debate, what is the proposed National Public Health Institution bill seeking to achieve exactly, before I get to the next question?
Well, from what I've not read the entire bill. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, good morning.
Good morning.
I've not read the entire bill, but from what I can get, what the bill tends to achieve is to prevent, detect, and control infectious diseases, which is actually one of the responsibilities of NCDC. So if there's a public health emergencies or public health outbreaks or pandemic within the country, the aim is to control, investigate, detect, and control such an epidemics. And I want to believe that's exactly the mandate of NCDC as we speak.
Right. So, Dr. Francis, if that is the job and the role of NCDC, why is another bill for another public health coming up now? Is it that NCDC is not doing enough, or they don't think it's competent enough to deliver?
I think what the legislators need to do actually is to seek expert opinion and listen to experts and get the best from the experts to be able to do a proper registration. And from the DG of NCDC has actually said, if you put up a new infectious disease control center, and then you leave the mandate of NCDC as it is, there will be conflict, there will be confusion, and there will be no unity of command. And that is actually the main purpose of infectious disease control. If there's no unity of command, you will discover that our resources cannot be accountable. So many things will go wrong. People, you can imagine 2 institutions giving either different command or command that are not exactly the same. There will be confusion among the stakeholders. There will also be confusion within the international body. There's international health regulations that seem to speak to one public health institutions that control infectious disease across the globe. So there's a public health model for disease prevention and control. And if what NCDC is actually working on presently is a global model for public health disease outbreak control. And that is actually copied from United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And exactly what is the African Center for Disease Control is doing. And that is exactly what NCDC is doing. And if there's an outbreak of international repute, the international bodies or WHO need to latch on one unity infectious disease center, which is where NCDC come in. When you have a duplicate of that, there's likely going to be a duplication of efforts. There's likely going to be conflicts of interest, conflict of command, and all sorts of things that will jeopardize the effective control of that outbreak.
Dr. Era, I'm confused. I don't know exactly what this bill is predicated upon. Are there weaknesses or strengths that the NCDC might have that they are building on? I mean, we had COVID-19 in 2019 and 2020, and that was rather a success story on the Nigerian account. We also had Ebola, which was a very big success story, and the NCDC was very, very well hands in when it came to helping curb this menace. So what exactly and why exactly has resulted in a duplicate institution being formed or being suggested here? And are there strengths or weaknesses that this should be predicated upon?
Well, I want to believe that the proposal of the bill thinks that having a specialized unit that will control it, because NCDC is empowered to handle not only just infectious disease, they're also going to empowered to handle all disease control that are of public health importance. And there are several, over 40 diseases of public health importance that may not necessarily be infectious disease. So I think their primary aim is to concentrate on infectious disease of public health importance. And then they think that getting a completely different agency to handle that, they will be more effective. But that is not actually how public health models work. Global public health models are built around a unitary command. It's like the military. There must be a command to say, do this, don't do this. If you have a completely different agency that is saying the same thing, you are going to have confusion. Except you are saying that you are going to remove that aspect of NCDC, that aspect of the mandate of NCDC, and give it straightly to this new agency bill, then that may work. But I think the best thing is to strengthen NCDC and create a specialized center, a specialized unit with the NCDC to handle specialized unit like this. So if you have a specialized unit like plainly for infectious diseases and is within NCDC, there's still a unity of command. And then you discover that infections will be properly and urgently handled. Because if a public health institution is well organized, you have the response to outbreak will be prompt, and then you are able to use resources efficiently, and then you are able to foster leadership and accountability, thereby maintaining and promoting public health. And that is actually what I think should be done. They should try to empower NCDC and try to expand the scope of NCDC to be able to handle specialized centers, specialized units. For example, the United States Center for Disease Control and Prevention, they have over 20 specialized centers within CDC that is based in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you have an NCDC and you think you have specialized centers that you want to focus more on, it should be created within NCDC and empower them to be able to control infections by having, what is important actually in public health is to have a unity command. If there is no command from one center, there is going to be confusion.
Gonna be confusion. So, Doctor, a small argument here. I think that the focus is a bit too much on response. When we take a look at COVID-19, when we take a look at meningitis, when we take a look at cholera and all of it, while it's working, the truth is that, yes, you have to give kudos to the NCDC and whatever bill they have that's curated for prevention of, or rather, response to disease. But there's one thing here that our reactionary approach to things is a bit, it's our culture. So I'm wondering whether there can't be more energy directed to institutions that would help when it comes to prevention instead of response, because here I see response all over the place and not enough focus on prevention. Or could this be what the bill is aiming to tackle?
Probably most people actually seem to see the response of NCDC because that is the one you can actually attest to. That is the one you can speak to. But it's not only response that they do. There is a state of being aware, watchfulness. There's a state of watchfulness. For example, the Ebola that is happening outside the Nigeria, for example,
Congo.
And yes, Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo. NCDC is already creating a state of awareness that the possibility, any disease anywhere is a disease everywhere. Is a disease is just a flight away. Somebody can choose to fly from Democratic Republic of Congo to Nigeria. That same day, you can have an outbreak in Nigeria. So public health is already aware of this. And so what they do is whenever there's an outbreak anywhere in the world, there's a state of watchfulness, there's a weight of alertness. And then after that, there's a preparation for a response in case there's an outbreak before you start seeing the response. So it's not just the response that they're after. They're actually also preventing an outbreak by instituting laws, policies, and programs to prevent an outbreak before an outbreak eventually happens. And if an outbreak is going to occur, they are already preparation on ground to ensure that that outbreak do not take effect. In case it happens to one or two, there is a system in place already to curtail that outbreak. So it's only probably some people only see the response, but that's not the only thing, the mandate of NCDC. They are also preventing. They are in a state of watchfulness and alertness, preparing for an outbreak.
Okay,
right.
So, Doctor.
Dr. Francis, I just wanted to ask, for NCDC, we know that every organization, agency have a problem or a challenge. Can you point one challenge that NCDC has? I'm heading somewhere, trust me.
The major challenge of NCDC is actually this concurrent, the head, for example, is on the concurrent legislative bill.
Okay.
So if you are having, what that means is that all the 36 states governors or the states have the power to decide how much or how they handle public health concerns.
Okay.
So if they choose to allocate a certain fund for a public health, the federal or NCDC cannot insist that because Ebola is more deadly, you should allocate 1 billion or 100 billion. They can't do that because health is on the concurrent list, legislative list. So one of the major gaps is that because they do not have power to insist on how they handle the health of their state, a state can decide to go against what NCDC proposes. For example, you remember during the outbreak of COVID-19, a particular state in Nigeria said there was no outbreak of COVID-19 in their state, and they refused NCDC from even entering the state or instituting the control measures. So when you have that can be a major gap.
Right.
In addressing.
So, Dr. Francis, it's not just funds now. It's about how NCDC does not have power in every state, and we're talking about health for the country. So, where is the gap in thinking that creating another agency would have the power?
Yeah, why don't you just fix it within the NCDC?
Why don't they just fix it and fund the NCDC and give the NCDC the power to do what they need to do? Where's the disconnect?
Exactly, that's what I'm even saying. The best bet actually is to fund NCDC and empower NCDC. If you think the mandate of NCDC is restricted, you can actually enlarge or enhance the mandate of NCDC to be able to have specialized centers, specialized units or institutions within NCDC. And in that way, you have a unity of, what is important, the public health actually, like I'm still saying, is unity of command. Once you lose that unity of command, you will lose control of public health. So I think what the legislation should actually seek to do is to enhance NCDC, empower NCDC the more, and establish specialized centers if you think creating another one is necessary. Then put it within NCDC and let NCDC have a full control of it.
Well, thank you, Dr. Francis, for joining us and having this conversation. And hopefully they will reconsider and do what is best for the country. We appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Well, let's go on a short break. When we return, we have our last conversation inside of Breakfast Extra. Don't go anywhere. To our last big story for Breakfast Extra Sunday edition. Now, Nigeria's political landscape has taken another twist following a federal high court judgment that nullified the registration of the National Democratic Congress, NDC. The court ruled that the earlier decision directing INEC to register the party was made without hearing all interested parties, and it has set aside the registration pending the determination of the substantive suit. Now, beyond the legal battle, the case raises broader questions about political party registration, due process, and what this means for Nigeria's democratic landscape ahead of the 2027 general elections.
So this morning, we're joined by Abayomi Arabambi, National Vice Chairman, or rather, he will be joining us. We're hoping that he'll be joining us southwest of the Labour Party. Kingsley Ndibe is, however, in our Abuja studios, NDC House of Representatives aspirant for Anambra State. And of course, Zachary Idris joins us again, political analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us this morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Kingsley, let's dive into it. I think the question would just be, can you tell us what's happening in your house?
Hello?
Yes, Kingsley, can you hear us? There's a bit of a delay.
Yes.
Yes, if you can hear me, I was asking for you to just give us an update of what's happening.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. I was asking if you can give us an update of what's happening inside of NDC.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much for having me. There's not much happening in NDC. The truth of the matter is that NDC as a party, there's no panic. We're not perturbed about this situation because, of course, we know that APC, they are afraid. That's why they are, playing all these optics. It shows that they are doing everything within their power to stop His Excellency, Mr. Peter Obi, from being on the ballot. That's not. How can a judge set aside his own judgment and entertain another party that was not originally on the case? This is judicial rascality taking so far, and that has been the pattern of APC. So NDC, we're approaching the appeal court tomorrow, and I believe that at the appeal court they will do the needful. But most importantly, Nigerians should see what APC they are doing, and also they should also we need everybody to lend their voices, because this is our democracy is under attack, and we can't just sit back and watch them do whatever they want. This is a party. They have 32 governors. They are in charge of our resources. They're in charge of all our security agencies, and they are still afraid of Mr. Peter Obi. What are they afraid of? From Labour Party to ADC and now NDC. They should allow free and fair election. We've never seen any party, any ruling party, chase a candidate the way they are actually chasing Mr. Peter Obi. It's unusual. Maybe, like we are discussing yesterday, maybe they know something that Mr. Peter Obi did to them that they are preventing him from repeating again in the next election. They are the ones that they are in better position to explain that. Otherwise, why are they panicking? They are in panic mode. But one thing is guaranteed, that Mr. Peter Gregory Obi is the next president of Nigeria come 2027. Nobody will stop it, and they should not take the result for Nigerian people and the young people in this country. So we are not. There's no problem in NDC. We're approaching the appeal court, and we believe that the court will do the needful.
Right. So, Kingsley, before we move to Zachary, I just wanted to ask, you mentioned that this is targeted from APC. Why not PDP? Why not ADC? Why not LP? Are you outrightly saying that the other opposition is no match for NDC? That's one. And secondly, your party is saying that there's an appeal. How long will it take? Because we've seen where one court does not recognize another court's ruling. How is your party going to handle that?
Nigerians are watching. We're going to approach the appeal court, and I believe that appeal court, because considering the sensitivity of this matter, I believe that the appeal court, for the interests of our democracy, they are going to do the right thing, and they're going to hasten up the judgment. Because just consider this: when it got to a time for NDC to upload their candidate on the INEC portal, they came up with this, just to distract the party, just to dampen their spirit, just to, make Nigerians not to kind of have panic around the party, just to make them think that NDC does not stand a chance. But they are just wasting their time. This election already, Nigerians, they've decided on who will be their next president. So we believe that our legal team, they are going to approach the court, and I believe that the appeal court, for the interest of our democracy, they're going to do the right thing. That's our belief, and we're going to make use of all legal options that we have in making sure that our candidates are uploaded and they participate in the next election. Right. Mark it down, Mr. Peter Gregory Obi is the next president of Nigeria. They know it, they could feel the pulse of the Nigerian people, and that is why they are panicking. Okay. I don't know why they panic, but it's best known to them. I don't know why they're panicking. But we are the way, at NDC, we don't have any problem at all, because we know that we are fielding the best candidate in this coming election.
I hear you. Before we mark it down, before I ask you another question, let's go on a short break. When we return, we'll have a question for Zachary. Do stay with us, please.
Is he up? Can he hear me? Zachary, please, if you can hear me, what's your location? We didn't ask before.
Abuja.
He's in Abuja, guys. All right, thank you. We're coming to you.
My question or my problem?
Bye. Thank you very much for rejoining us. We are having the conversation on the NDC deregistration. And of course, we have our guests who are still here with us, Kingsley and Zachary. Kingsley, from before, we've heard all that you had to say regarding the NDC and the attention that it's getting from opposition. Although you didn't say opposition, you said the APC. But I wanted to ask Zachary one thing. Zachary, we've seen a situation where the courts are becoming the battleground when it comes to politics here in Nigeria. But the courts are saying something that seems to be legally correct. They're trying to uphold due process and fair hearing. And because most of the stakeholders were not present at that hearing. That's why it has to be brought back down and rediscussed. So it is legal, the process here. But then again, critics are arguing that what's happening here is not about fair hearing. It's about due process versus political uncertainty or democracy itself. Let's put it that way. So I don't know how you feel about the judicial process in Nigeria, especially where it has to do with political parties. That's one. And another one, what the fate of opposition politics is in Nigeria, Zachary.
I don't know where you got your facts from that the ruling by the Lokoja court is legal. I completely disagree with you on that. I think we properly need to situate the issues so that our viewers are aware of the political legal gymnastics that like my brother in the studio rightly pointed out, the All Progressive Congress are trying to pull to derail our nascent. Our democracy is no longer nascent. To derail our democracy, the 28-year-old man is not nascent. Our democracy is around 28 years old. Now, let's properly situate the issues. The NDC had fulfilled all it needed to do to become a full-fledged political party. For some incredible reasons, INEC refused to register NDC as a political party. Now, I am putting it in plain language. I'm not a lawyer, I don't pretend to be, but we must put it in such a way that Nigerians can see through the facade of legality that people are trying to present, both those in the legal circles, those in the political circles, especially the ruling party, and some section of the media. And the NDC had approached the Lokoja High Court to seek to force them, to ask them to force INEC to register NDC as a political party, having fulfilled all of the necessary conditions that qualifies them to be a political party, and INEC was refusing for any reason best known to them, not stated. Now, the Lokoja High Court, in its wisdom, Federal High Court Lokoja, in its wisdom, said, yes, we agree with you. You qualify to be a political party. INEC registered them. And INEC did, obeyed that law 6 months and 16 days later. 6 months. Now, take note, the two parties in this case is NDC and INEC. But 6 months and 16 days later, an organization that had applied to register in 2015 but was not registered, an organization that is not a political party in Nigeria, came back to say, wow, when we applied to register many, many years ago, we had the same symbol as what NDC now has in its logo. So please, reverse your own judgment and add us as parties to this matter so that the matter can be redebated. That is a travesty of law. That is a travesty of justice. That is, if you like, politicization of our court. And our judiciary has to be very careful, because the most important function, the most important factor in society is criminal justice administration. When you now have a judiciary that is now seen or perceived to be an extension of a ruling party, to be that the institutions in that judiciary are being, reduced to the political whims and caprice of political leader, one has to be very, very worried. So, in a nutshell, your question, the simple answer to your question is that there is nothing about this ruling that makes sense. And I am sure that in the coming days, because not all of the entire judicial arm of government is not corrupt. There are people of honor within the judiciary. And I am sure that in times like this, where people who are not responsible want to derail our democracy and throw us into anarchy, there will be judicial officers that will stand up to the test of time and attend to the matters as it ought to be. Again, I must add that the political leg to this is that we have a ruling party today who wants a coronation as opposed to an election. We have a ruling party today who has performed abysmally in office and has now decided that it can no longer go to the Nigerian people to seek re-election. Instead, they must follow corner to get back into office, to smuggle themselves back into office. And I have news for them, and I have said it before. The 2027 election is going to be conducted. The votes of Nigerians will count. all of the political opposition will be on the ballot, and the best man, who in my enlightened opinion is Mr. Peter Gregory Obi, will win that election. Full, final, stop.
So, Zachary, well, the court did not deregister the party. It just simply said that the stakeholders from before were not fully represented. And I still want to know what you think about the judicial processes in Nigeria where it comes to political parties. Do you think that it is fair, or do you think that it is being used as a tool? And by what parties would it be used as a tool?
I have stated it clearly. There are political judgments that beat common sense. There was a judgment in Imo State where a man who came fourth became first. There is a politician in this Abuja, some people even call him the landlord of Abuja, who does not lose court cases. We have seen in the Senate where a senator stood up and said that his fellow senators come to ask him for favor when his wife was the president of the Court of Appeal. We can go on and on. We have politicians as husbands to judges. And let me state it clearly, I'm not in the business of questioning anyone's emotional involvement. But Justice Nikitobi said it some time ago when he was delivering his judgment, I think in 2019, that the judiciary must wean itself of the endless need to participate with political actors. The judiciary and politicians are opposite that should never meet. The judiciary has the potential of being polluted by politics. And he warned that if the judiciary does not stay away from politics, eventually the intrigues and biases of politicians and politics will pollute the judiciary. That is exactly what we are seeing now. And the dramatist personnel who are orchestrating this whole scenario, they are not far-fetched. We know who will be the ultimate beneficiary of a political process without a credible opposition. We know who will be the ultimate beneficiary of a political party, of a political process that will not have Peter Obi on the ballot, because the man is the most popular Nigerian politician today. So everybody fears him, they dread him. Politicians hate him with a passion, but the Nigerian people love him because everything he stands for is antithetical to the Nigerian politician of today, to everything they do today. What he believes in is what the Nigerian politician does not believe in today. The Nigerian politician of today believes that you should take treatment abroad, believe you should send your children abroad for school, believe you should import even shenkers from Brazil and elsewhere, believe that you should do things, take the Nigerian money and go and put it elsewhere, believe you should have 10 houses in Abuja. The man does not think like that. He thinks in the direct opposite. So they fear. They are mortally afraid that if this man ever finds his way into the highest office in the land, they will be out of job that very minute. So you see the machination across party lines, sometimes across board, but particularly the APC, to stop him from appearing on the ballot. Like I said before, I have news for them. Nigerians will insist on it, that is on the ballot, and the best man will win. And in my enlightened opinion, he is the best man.
Kingsley, I was about to say Zachary. Kingsley, see, fingers have been pointed and words have been said. And you mentioned that, of course, the NDC is appealing for this situation. And again, I said, all courts, we've been seeing situations with courts where one is disobeying the other. So who's going to call them out? How are we going to get accountability if this situation does not end well? Elections is just a few months away. What would happen then, Kingsley?
Well, thank you so much for this question. But the truth of the matter is that I kept saying the last time I spoke that the APC government or APC as a party, they should not test the resolve of the Nigerian people. There is no way there's no way P2B and our candidate will not be on the ballot. As a matter of fact, do you know why they are afraid? In the last election, they faced a man that had no governor, sitting governor, that had no former governor, that had no sitting senator, that had no House of Rep member, not even a sitting councillor. He was able to win 12 states, including the FCT. Now, this man, now his running mate is Kwankwaso. Now, he has sitting senators. He might not have a governor currently, but we have a national leader who is also a former governor. You know, and by the way, they know the original result. They know why they are panicking. They know why they are panicking. Why is this man being targeted? Currently, he doesn't have any governor supporting him. As we speak, APC, they have 32 governors, apart from perhaps governor of Osun State and governor of Oyo State. Alex Oti is neutral. So, and they have all the security agencies. Why are they panicking? There is something they know that we, the public, we don't know. However, let them be careful so that they will not invite anarchy to this country. We want free and fair election. We want everybody to participate in this election. And if that is done, I can tell you by 17th of January 2027, His Excellency Mr. Peter Gregory will be announced the President of Nigeria. His name will move from former governor to president-elect. They know it, and that's why they are panicking. And you know, when you are operating in panic mode, you have no regard for due process. You are going to make a lot of mistakes. You are going to break the law because you are operating based on emotion of fear. They are afraid. And I don't know why they are afraid, because I thought they said that the Jagaban is a master strategist. But he has met a man who is not a strategist but loved by his people. Who he doesn't need to bribe or give anybody money to vote him. He will even tell you that he's not going to give you shishi. Still, people are ready to vote him because Nigerians, we want change. It's everywhere. You can feel the pulse of Nigerian people. Anywhere you go, you can see that they want change. They want something different. And P2B, NDC, has presented P2B as the hope that Nigerian people are looking for. And any attempt to actually do anything, I believe that they are inviting anarchy. So please, we urge everybody, the civil society, the NBA, Nigerian Bar Association, let everybody speak up, because this is about our democracy. This is about our democracy. It's very, very important that all of us collectively lend our voices so that the right thing will be done.
All right, Kingsley, we're trying to save time, so I want to ask a very short question of Zachary. Zachary, if you can hear us, the judgment effectively reversed the registration that INEC itself had already acted upon. So the implications for INEC here, what does it say about INEC's credibility and its decision-making process?
I said once here, the monkey hand of the APC is in everything. We saw it when we were in ADC. We are seeing it now that we are in NDC. It's simple. INEC they will try to force INEC to act on it, to act on the judgment, to not give us the passwords to upload names of the candidates of the NDC into the INEC portal. But all of that will be resisted legally. Like the party has rightly said, every legal means necessary will be deployed. Every legal means necessary. And like my brother in the studio rightly advised, we have a democracy that we must protect. This is beyond Peter Obi as a man, NDC as a party, or any other thing. The ability for the Nigerian to recruit his leader, the ability for the Nigerian to pick and choose who he sends to occupy public office is the threat that we are facing currently. And I am asking all Nigerians not to take it lightly. Nigerians should be able to decide at the polls. If APC have a good story to tell, they should go ahead and tell it. If they do not have a good story, we will tell our own story and tell of their faults. That should not scare them. They had 3 years to impress Nigeria. As a matter of fact, they've had 11 years to impress Nigerians since 2015. But all they've done is to, push sorrow, tears, and blood. Today, we are the poverty capital of the world. 140 million multidimensionally poor Nigerians. Even those of us who are pretending not to be poor, we know that we are struggling on a daily basis. Today, we have 35 million Nigerians that are hungry. I have said it before, that the hungry people in Nigeria is sufficient to form a country of the size and population of Ghana. Today, we have 25 million children out of school. Children who will be future bandits, future Boko Haram, future terrorists, future Lakurawa. If government does not do anything to quickly reverse that trend, bring these children back to school and give them hope and give them a future. They abandon all of these problems. All they do is political machination and gymnastics. This is the first government in the history of Nigeria that started campaigning the very day it was sworn into office in the first step. I have never seen such level of irresponsibility. So going forward, I also have serious suggestion and advice for the judiciary. The judiciary.
Well, Zachary,
if you can hear us, oh wait, we seem to have lost your audio, but thank you very much. I think most of that submission was heard. I want to say thank you very much, gentlemen, because we have run out of time for the entire show today, but that was a very interesting conversation.
Yes.
We will wait to see this week where this carries on to, and we'll continue to follow it here.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining the conversation. Whew. And I guess that's it for us here.
Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday, happy start of the week.
Just know that
it's out there as well. Well, do remember now, it doesn't end here for breakfast. Of course, through the week, the weekday guys will be starting. The dinosaur, Shego Barowa, he calls himself that, will be joining you along with Johansson and Olive for Breakfast Central.
Hey.
Until then, it's us saying goodbye, but we'll meet again in little bits through the week. But then, for sure, the weekend on Saturday, we start this all over again. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Bye-bye.